Thumbs up if you can hear me. Hello? Hello? Yeah? Yep. Is that better? Higher? Lower? Okay.
Hello? Yeah, I could hear you, yeah? No, it wasn't loud, it was just fine. Did you say anything more? You just said, can you hear me? Is it okay? No, that was fine. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Thanks, bye. Nazdar. Hello. No, ahoj, tady kde já jsem. Na fotbale. Budu filmovat za 5 minut.
Welcome to a wet and miserable Warrior Park for what should be an absolute fiery clash between two bitter rivals. It's the Eastern Shore Derby, the Olympia FC Warriors hosting Clarence United. I'm Damien Gill from FFT, bringing this one live to you. The ever-reliable Drewster Rooster, Andrew Cooling by my side. Drewster, welcome.
Yeah, good to be here, Gilly. Always love to be the Eastern Shore Derby. Fair to say there's not a lot of love lost between these two teams. There'll be plenty to play for today. They've probably not got a lot to play for ladder-wise. The Olympia season certainly hasn't gone as they'd have hoped. Clarence, well, they got their second victory over Northern Rangers a couple of weeks ago, and they're looking to build as they go on, but plenty of local bragging rights.
Probably tackle this one a bit differently. Clarence are happy to buy into the rivalry and talk about how much they like to beat Olympia, or would like to tackle Olympia, and Olympia very much keen to play this one down. George Mamarkis going as far to say Clarence are irrelevant after their last meeting, which I'm sure still stings on the mind of Alan Jablonski and his players, and I'm sure they'll be out there with a point to prove today. They're a team that's improved as the season's worn on, aren't they, Drewster? And recent form suggests this one probably going to be fairly good contest.
Yeah, they certainly held the Zebras at bay, and they were very well organised and structured last week. and they'll be hoping to do a similar job here on a fairly narrow pitch, which does make it a little easier for teams to sit back and defend. They'll certainly defend fairly narrow, I'd imagine, and really make themselves hard to break down. They do perhaps lack a bit of a cutting edge up top. It's been the area of concern for them, but we'll have to see if Jablonski has found a solution to that today, because they were fairly toothless last week, but they're very hard to break down. The Warriors, well, what a comeback they had last week. 3-0 down half-time to the Lions. They were in all sorts before. Nick Mearns in particular stood up in the second half. Gavin Hoy, Shea Hickey, they were all outstanding, and they led a quite remarkable fight back to come back from 3 goals down to win at 4-3. Mearns right at the death with the winner. He's in some sort of form, and he's someone that Clarence are really going to have to look out for today. Nick Naden in midfield's probably going to have to do a fair bit of work trying to negate him. Finn Aldridge has been in some pretty good form for the Reds. They've got a fairly strong midfield, but up against this Warriors midfield brigade, they've certainly got their work cut out for them.
You're dead right, Drewster. In terms of the 2 sheets of paper, you'd think Olympia have more quality, but Clarence has been building a couple of stars throughout the lineup. They'll have to have an impact today. Conditions not conducive to outstanding football, although on a synthetic pitch it's a much better place to be playing football than a grass pitch today. A few waterlogged areas, but
doing this from anywhere other than the media box up here, we've taken over it. Just the respect they've got for us here at Warrior Park. They've just upped us to the media box today. Looking at the Olympia team, it's going to be one big and noticeable change for them. Pasquale Joffrey has returned to the side, and he looks like he's going to line up between the sticks today. Young Rome Gillam's been doing a really good job in recent weeks, but certainly the big physical presence of Pasquale will be an added bonus for them. They're happy to have him back. Of course, he took off for Heidelberg. Obviously a very short stay there, but he returns. So Pasquale Joffrey, first of his name and king of the Andals, in the starting lineup for the Warriors today. We'll go through the rest of the team for you. It looks like we've got Van der May will captain and will be in the heart of defence. You'd expect he'll be partnered there by Aiden Farquhar, 16-year-old. Scored a fantastic goal last week and hit the post with another one. He's a wonderfully technically gifted player with a bright future. The fullbacks, you'd imagine, will be Jack Callan and Zachary Drake. The Canadians scored an absolute wonder goal when these two teams met in the first edition of the derby. Took it from midfield, sliced past the defender and smashed it in from 30 yards. He'll be hoping for another strong display today in midfield. It looks like young Mark Ortman will get another gig in the middle there. He really impressed me last week. Showed some good touches, a good pass through the ball.
They call him the Business, Drewster. That's his nickname, the Business. And that's what he brings to the table. He's a little terrier, Mark Ortman. He just gives and gives and gives and gives. So looking forward to seeing him employ his trade in there with a couple of experience. Well, one very experienced in Shea Hickey and the other in Nick Mearns, who's in scintillating form.
He is, and also returning to the Warriors lineup today, Warren Wadawa, who's been missing for a while. They'll be thankful to have him back playing wide on the right, and he's going to have to step up because Gavin Hoy is on the bench. Probably copped a knock last week. I'd suspect he'd be starting if he was fully fit. So in goes one, a dangerous attacker for another, and Leaman, Jacob Leaman, I suspect will take the position out on the left. It'll be interesting to see whether it's Hickey or Mearns who plays the advanced 10 role in behind Big Graham Glynn, who'll play up top leading the line. There is some suggestions they may even go with the back three as they did last week in the second half that was so successful in breaking down the lines who sat back. So we'll be keeping a close eye on how the Warriors line up. I wouldn't be shocked if they did go with three at the back. Moving on to the Clarence side now.
Clarence team, and a big change first of all straight off. Dyson, who of course an absolute howler, saw it go 2-0 to the Zebras when they were just one goal adrift last Friday night. He led in a shocker and it's seen him fall out of the lineup. In comes Darby Randall, young goalkeeper with a lot of promise, so looking forward to see Big Darby do his business. The defence, it's going to look a little bit different this week, Drewster. You've got Grant Malcolm out of the side. I know he's expecting a child, so he's obviously weighed up his priorities there and gone with the logical one. If he was here at Warrior Park, I'd be a bit worried. But he's out of the side, and it does leave a bit of a hole, which sees. But I guess the good news is another big player George Hallard comes back into the mix. I don't know whether he'll play down back and partner Hedge or whether he'll play up front. There's also Joe Stevens who's starting this week, so he's another one that could play in defence. I think it might be Stevens and Hedge with Lush one side, and who we got the other? Maybe Sam Randall, potentially. He's, I think, possibly Sam Randall will be the other fullback.
Or Burgess has played right back last week.
Or Burgess, so it'll be one of those. They'll either be on a wing or fullback in midfield. Another omission, sadly, for Clarence. Rich Heath not there. It's a big blow. In midfield, we'll see. I think Ming Choi might move into midfield with Sam Randall coming into the mix. I think we might see him in the midfield, and we'll see. Of course, Finn Aldridge, who's been a really astute pickup for Alan Jablonski's men in recent times. He's done a lot of work and been really good. And then Nick Naden, the other one. So that's the mix there. And Andrew Robb. And I think Sam Randall will be on the other wing. And centrally, it's anyone's guess who we got left.
Hallard, I reckon, will start up.
Yeah, I think you're right. So Hallard comes in the lineup, won't slot back into defence where he was playing before he got injured. I think he's probably the logical one, and you play Joe Stevens with a bit of lack of pace. He goes back and slot in alongside Hedge. In reserve, they've got Jared Bugg, Matthew Dyson, Adrian Kev Lawler, and Sam Rybell. So not a lot to go to in terms of attacking prowess, which is the concern of Clarence, particularly last week. But I think George Hallard in the lineup certainly brings a lot in terms of a target man, which they craved last week. Sam Randall did his best, but he's not a number 9 from any stretch of the imagination. So him operating out wide will be really good. And I think the benefit of that is that Min Choi will go into midfield where I think he plays his best football.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they line up. We've got so many midfielders in the squad. It's certainly a bit of a makeshift lineup. Jablonski having to shuffle his deck again with Heath absent, which really hurts because I thought the midfield three of Naden, Aldridge and Heath were really starting to gel and form a pretty good partnership in there. Really like their work, but yet another change is made. It's been a bit of a revolving door, this Clarence side. They've never really been able to have the settled lineup. As we have a look at the Olympia Warriors form over the last 5 weeks, very up and down. Here at home they were thumped by the Zebras and then travel up to Launceston City, had a good win before again. A couple of bad weeks there defensively. Devonport and South Hobart, the top teams, have really put them to the sword this year. However, they've still not dropped any points against the team below them on the table. They nearly did last week, but that miraculous comeback against the Lions saw them win 4-3, and they remain perfect against teams below them on the table this season.
The big thing on that one, Drew, so the graphic just before, is the 3 games where they've caught 5 goals, 5 goals and 4 goals. You wouldn't have seen that last year.
Against big teams.
Their defence was tight. I think they can find opportunities, Clarence, today, as we look at their record. There's the blemish against Devonport, a really notable one, and also Kingborough. So it's a mixed bunch, that one. You expect them to go down to South Hobart, but probably expected better in those other ones. But they've been trending upwards in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, 2 good weeks after they really kind of limped towards the end of the first round of fixtures. They were disappointing there for a month or so, but the last 2 weeks with a good win over Rangers where they found some goal scoring touch. Then they were pretty solid against a good Zebras line-up last week, and relative to expectations, they wouldn't be too disappointed. I wouldn't have thought. How will they go against their fierce rivals here today, the Warriors? There should be plenty of desire in there. How will young Randall go, getting his first starting goals in the league? Coming in for Dyson, a big test for him. Certainly not easy conditions for goalkeeping. I think the Warriors will mind getting the ball wide, putting a few crosses in, because it's going to be very slippery out there for them.
Yeah, it's going to... The weather always adds an extra element, especially when it's as significant as today. You can see on your camera the rain coming down, so it certainly signifies it's heavy. And it's going to be a real arm wrestle, I think, for much of it. But if we're getting into tips, Drewster, I'd be tipping Olympia on their home deck. I don't think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game. I think maybe 2-0. I don't think there's going to be too much in it. Clarence, I'm interested to see what Hallard brings to them from an attacking sense, but they just haven't shown signs of having cutting edge outside of that game against Rangers, where they had Paul Bremner, who's a massive out in terms of their current lineup. So interesting if Hallett can remedy a few things there, but I just think Olympia will be fairly comfortable in this one, but I think there'll be a lot of fire and a lot of passion in it.
Yeah, like I think they'll be made to work hard for it, but I think the squad lacks a bit of depth. They've not really got anything on the bench they can turn to change the game. Another change in the hard defence, how will that go? Looks like Randall's lining up in midfield with Choi wide on the right. I think Olympia are too strong. I'm going to go with them 3-0. I think they've got a bit too much about them. I think if you add in Bremner, you add in Heath and Malcolm, maybe they can push them, but perhaps a little too much
little light on
to be able to cause the upset today. As we're underway here at Warrior Park, and Hickey gets the ball forward to Nick Mearns. What great form that man has been in this season, really developing as a footballer. Wadawu chips it straight to Hedge, speaking of a man in good form, but that was one back by Mearns. Hickey bustling through, he slides it to Glynn, who's got acres of space. This could be the dream start. Randall makes that save though. What a great start.
Good start
here at the top flight. A great save tonight, Glynn, as the defence was just opening up far too much space for big Glynn there. Stevens and Hedge just leaving a mile between themselves.
It was dreadful defence, but that'll do Randall a good deal of confidence as it comes out on the left to Rob. He crosses, looking for Choi. Choi's got to pick this one up. He's worked for it deep in the corner. He cuts to the byline, looks to nip it back. It's cut off, and it's picked up by Hickey, who finds Glynn, has it stolen off him for an instant, able to win it back. Switch out on the right, no he won't, as Rob gets involved. Chest down, finds Aldridge, threads it through to Hallard. Looks to already be adding something from a hold-up perspective. He loses this one though, as it's chipped down the line by Cullen, lost to Naden, but he too loses it. Lush comes in hard on Glynn, and that's a foul. It'll be a set piece for Olympia. Early doors in this contest, just ticking beyond the first minute. Yeah, Darby Randall, it'll do him the world of good. Early test, and he's passed with flying colours, so very, very good. Could have easily been 1-0 down. You could have forgiven him for conceding that one. It was a good save.
Yeah, did really well there. Randall, his first test, and I think he really probably will be grateful to have got an early touch of the ball rather than be sitting there for potentially 10 or 15 minutes spectating, waiting for that first involvement. That'll be a positive one for him, and as with many keepers, to be told, he's very much a confidence player, and that probably won't do his confidence the world of good as he boots it straight out of play.
He shanked that one, absolutely shanked as it throwing for Farquhar. A good goal last week, as you spoke about earlier, Drewster. Throws in, finds Hickey, a wily old customer, just chips along. Speaking of wily and old, there's a nice little fake out from the experienced Hedge. 32 years young is Adam Hedge.
One of the former centre-backs in the comp at the moment, Hedge.
He's been very good. He hates playing there, which I don't know whether he just wants to throw one game and have a shocker so he can get back to centre forward, but he's been superb. Randall now, of the Sam variety, puts it in midfield, cut off from Mearns. Receives back from Hickey, they combine. Famous partnership last year. Joe Stevens, don't worry about him, cool, calm, collected, gets it out on the left wing to Rob. And it's spilled out of play for a Reds throw-in. Joe Stevens at the back, as I was talking about. A real change for him. Throwing now. Contesting for it is Glynn and Lush. It's won by Glynn, down for Wadawu to Ortman, who gets it moving out on the left wing. We'll find Leaman. Leaman got Burgess for company. Keeps it moving and finds Farquhar. Measures the ball to the top of the 6-yard box. Stevens there to cut off. Finds Aldridge. Loses it. Regains possession. So race away down the right. Finds Choi. Choi got one to beat. Does it well. Support comes in Farquhar though. Regains it for the hosts. From Drake to Vandermeer. And back to Pasquale Joffrey. Goes long. Back in this lineup, Joffrey. It's a nice ball. But Lush will pick it up ahead of Hickey. Stevens in no hurry. almost finds Rob as the ball squirts out of play.
Interesting that Zach Drake is lining up central with Farquhar out in the wider area so far. A bit of a change there from McNeil as Randall's turned it over here. Ortman's won it back for his side. He sends it out wide to Leaman. He's got a couple to pick out. One of them was Glynn, but it's well shut down there by Burgess, and it'll be a corner, the first one of the game here for the Warriors. A chance to try and threaten from the set piece. Was a Wadawa across to take. Apologise for any audio issues we're having. The weather causing a little bit of havoc here at Warrior Park. Truly an awful day as Warren Wadawa curls it near post. Burgess is there to see it away though, out in front of Randall. Can he hold it up? He chips it in front of himself, and he's got Choi in a lot of space. If he can slide it through to a perfect ball, it slows to a halt in the rain, but Choi still charging forward here. He lays it back to Hallard. Choi again. Now across. It's going to be Randall on the ball. They work it down the right, but across this far away. Read it well. A wasted opportunity there for Clarence. They broke with some real menace, but it all came to nothing. They needed to just get a shot away, and they couldn't conjure anything. Here come the Warriors back through Jack Callan. He's running at Rob. Plays it in. Perfect ball there for Glynn. He turns, sets it up for Wadawu. Wadawu's beautifully dispossessed there. Well, edges he? No, he took a bit too much of the man.
Beautifully. I don't know what you're talking about here about beautiful. There wasn't much beautiful in this.
Cool.
He just chopped him down. He's got the axe out and just gone really for a big chop there, Drewster. Your man loved just taking hold of you there. I think the big hedgehog. Yeah. Big Sonic the Hedgehog.
They're playing a bit too much FIFA with the lenient referees. I think that's a good challenge in my book, but presents a good chance for Nick Mearns.
Oh, absolutely. Nick Mearns will be licking his lips over this one in good touch, as we've spoken about at nauseam. He's over it.
No Gavin Hoy in the lineup today, who killed one in from a similar range last week. Can Mearns do it? He drives it straight at Darby Randall, who holds it well. And he gets his second save of the game. A good start for young Darby Randall. He launches the quick counter-attack here. Rob down the throat of Mearns. Mearns chips it over the top for the running Wadawu. Warren Wadawu now in a bit of space. He plays it first time, and Randall will swallow that one up. And will easily repel again here, the Reds.
I tell you what, his top and his lid is doing plenty, Randall. So far, so good. He kicks it to get the opposing goalkeeper involved. Joffrey. First of his name, long, picked up from Hickey and back for Callan. He's been in and out of this lineup. He'd be looking to really solidify his spot in this 11. He nudges into midfield, asks a bit of Ortman too much as Naden comes across and sweeps clear. No one there on the right flank though for Clarence United. Joffrey helps himself to it, goes long. One in the air well by Hedge. That one was good, Drewster. As it's from Randall from the right wing out onto the left to Rob. A zigzagging effort, picks out Hallard, breaches the box, right on the edge of it. Just back heels for Aldridge over the back. Overshot from Aldridge, and that's a let off for the Warriors.
Interesting to see the Warriors are going with a back three. Drake's actually playing central midfield rather than centre of defence, and he's pushing back into that centre-back spot when Clarence attacked them, but they're shaping up with a back three with the left centre-back Farquhar, Vandermeer and Callan, and Drake is kind of alternating between defensive midfield and centre-back, but very aggressive approach this one, and has left a little bit of space in behind for them to counter-attack with. Here's Drake, he chips it down the line for Farquhar, who's just galloping forward, hedge across to just see this one out of play. I suppose it worked for them last week, switching to the aggressive approach, pushing Drake on. Hickey playing in a much more advanced position than perhaps we'd normally see him in. And trying to emulate that approach today. Here's Choi with a little back heel. Straight to Drake though. He was working in very tight spaces there near the line. Turned over, Burgess forward. Choi works it back to Randall. He's past the skew towards Aldridge. Now Joey Stevens launches it forward, Callan across there, and he and Rob both missed the ball and it floats out of play for a throw-in.
One of those goals from Lush there where he knew well and truly that didn't touch anyone, but he still appealed for the throw-in anyway. As Joffrey picks it up outside his box. Cannon's long, looking for Glynn. Stevens there contesting with him. Glynn does enough to see it to Wadawu on the right flank. Hedge with a heavy first touch. Enough to nudge it by Wadawu though, as it picks out Rob, who does well and finds Lush forward for Hallard, holding up nicely. Sees Aldridge and finds him. He keeps it moving down the right to Choi. 1-2, and now out in front of Hallard. He's got to find a bit of toe. He's beaten to it by Drake. It's out of play for a corner. Well done by Hallard. Strong pressure coming on the Canadian. And he forces a corner and a good opportunity for the visitors.
A lot of space at the back here when they're breaking, Clarence. The centre-backs a long way apart in the back three system, and in case of Choi threatening to get him behind a couple of times. Hallard will be important. This one's whipped into a dangerous area, rising high and heading it wide though. It was the big hedgehog. Good off target and stayed in, so Olympia to counter, and they go long. Vandermeer's bursting forward. Stevens leaves it for Randall, who's well aware of the danger off his line, and whacks it into touch.
Again, nicely done from Randall. Just little things. Like he should have come off his line then, but just good to see that he did and was confident in racing off. You know, young keeper on debut. Those little things can go awry.
Absolutely.
Throw in now from Farquhar down for Glynn. He plays it to himself for a while, bit of FIFA streak, puts it through. No, he doesn't. His Hedge jumps in and out of play as Moons jumps in on the big hedgehog, sees it out for a throwing. Just over 10 minutes gone, Rooster. Pretty much an arm wrestle, really. The best chance of the game coming very, very early on for Olympia. Since then, it's been 6-1, half a dozen the other, as far as I'm concerned.
I think Clarence have settled well. They'll be happy with the start. They've certainly not been overwhelmed. They've made themselves pretty hard to break down. They've offered a little bit of threat back the other way. Olympia is certainly not dominating the contest by any means, and the Reds will take the first 10 minutes, I'd imagine. They wouldn't have wanted to concede early on the road, and this is a ground that's so narrow that it is a good ground to play a defensive style on. You can defend very narrowly. Not wide areas to operate. He's Naden off after this. A poor touch, a rare poor first touch. Let Hickey in. He combines beautifully there with Woodawa, who doesn't cross first time. He beats Lush, all ends up, cuts in onto the left and chips it towards Altman. Well in Randall to cover. Here's Altman again. Mearns almost dissecting the defence. Woodawa made a good run, but Joey Stevens was there to cut it out. Very cool, calm and collected, your man Joey Stevens there to go. He's coming now through the middle. Was broken up by Naden. Now they go over the top. Aldridge and Drake off after it. Drake got a crucial boot in, and Altman goes back to Pasquale Joffrey.
Tell you what, it's been commented about on social media, but a low shin pad set up from Pasquale Joffrey. Surprised the referees haven't brought the ruler out for that one. That's a real low setup. As the ball comes down the right, and Glynn does his best to try and keep it in, can't though. And it'll be a Clarence United goal kick. Young Darby Randall to bring it back in. Big Darby make his debut in the derby. There's one for you, Drewster, as it comes along. Off the boot of Randall. One in there by Drake, picked up by Naden. Looks the 1-2 with Hallard, but loses it as Mearns picks it up and bursts away. Finds Hickey. Looks to loft one over the top of Lush and finds with Dawu. It's a nice ball to the back. Burgess first to it though and nods it out. Dangerous moment, but good defensive work there by Burgess.
Safety first, as the daughter back. A couple of real wet patches out there. Obviously the synthetic pitch better than most, but we've noticed on a couple of times the ball has just stopped when it's reached certain points on the pitch. It's been heavy rain all day here, which is certainly impacting the contest.
So with Dawu to bring it in for a corner. A couple of big boys in this Olympia lineup. They'll look to utilise them now. Clarence not necessarily gifted with height outside of Hedge. As it comes along, it's to the back post. Naden heads, finds Choi. They'll look to break now. Goes to Aldridge, receives back as the Korean playmaker. Finds Lush. Inside, picks out Aldridge, tries to beat Mearns. Not an easy task. Finds Hickey, and then Aldridge does well to fight back and win Clarence United, a throw in. Down the line it goes. Picked up by Choi and back for Aldridge. He's smothered. And out comes Mearns. Bursts away. Gets by Naden. Puts it out for Leaman. Asking plenty of the youngster. Too much as it trickles out of play for a goal kick.
Worst idea from Mearns with all the rain on the pitch. Some of those through balls might just hold. Just a little bit too much on that one. Leaman had made an intelligent run looking to get in behind Lush, but a good start here for the Reds' defence. Been pretty structured so far with that first moment when Glynn got paid through a side. This one's headed down by Mearns. Hallard out after that. Naden too. Waddell had beat them both to it. Mearns' touch was heavy. Went straight to Hallard. Looks to get things moving. In control it was Ortman now. Drake's looking to burst forward. He fed Hickey now out to Wadawu. Can he feed it through for Mearns? In the end it's to Drake, who continued his run into the box. Didn't quite combine there. Hallard on the end of a throw that was quite good there from Darby Randall. Straight to him, but working back in defence was Hickey. He sits back here now. Covering some turf early is Shea Hickey. It's a lovely pass. Centrally for Ortman. He bursts forward. Cuts it back to Farquhar. Farquhar centrally to Glynn. Flicked it to himself, trying to get around Hedge. Hedge wins the battle though. Leaman out to pressure Burgess, who just puts it into touch there under pressure from him.
Olympia just slowly getting on top here, Rooster.
Works it in there. They'll clear again though. Aldridge looks to get around Altman. He does, but his pass has no real direction. It went straight to the Canadian Drake. He whacks it in there to Hickey. Worked forward in the Glynn direction. Again, Hedge across to cover. And they're right. They're starting to dominate possession a little bit, but the Reds not looking too troubled. They're defending well. They look well organised.
I think Joe Stevens is really good in there at the back, just very composed, not panicky, and uses the ball well when he's got a bit of time, and he can have a bit more time in defence than he can in midfield, especially against a pretty quick three. As it's played from Mearns, picks out Callan loses it to Randall now, the same variety, picks out Choi. A little bit of trickery from Randall, forward for Hallard, just gets it in Choi's direction, but here's his effort blocked by Ortman. Naden steals. 1-2s with Aldridge. Just too far for Naden. And Farquhar steals only for an instant as Burgess does well with a sliding effort, gets it well and truly moving down the right. Drake fakes Rob well and truly out of it and has it on his own in the end. Finds Hickey, who's found some room. Wadawu in a lot of space out on the right. Lush will look to close him down. He's got Wadawu right by him now. Wadawu in for Glynn. Glynn has a look at goal, but it's a shocking scuffed effort. Flies well wide. Should have been a lot more out of that from Glynn. Had a bit more time than he knew, I think, because Stevens had a couple of metres before he caught up on him. I think he could have maybe taken another touch and steady.
Yeah, Stevens just stepped up there, a bit late trying to play the offside trap, and with the wet surface couldn't really turn and change direction quickly enough, and he did have a yard of space there, Glynn. Would have done better. Long goal kick. Interesting to see Naden playing defensive midfield role today, such an attacking threat, but playing a more defensive strategy today and sitting him in front of the back four. He's a couple of chances where he's burst forward, wearing the captain's armband. This one's crossed to the back post where Rob's made a nuisance of himself, and they'll be picked up by Joffrey. He can go long.
Seriously, those shin pads.
It's an interesting look, that's for sure, but when you are the king of the handles, you do as you like. Here's Farquhar charging forward now. He plays it in to Leaman. Return the ball straight to Farquhar, who's getting forward a little bit today. Leaman can't keep that one under wraps, and it's out of play for another throw. No shortage of them. Never a shortage of Warrior Park. About 2 metres between the box and the sideline.
Tight confines. Throwing now from Burgess. Naden muscles up on Mearns and wins it well to Rob, who just cannons out in front of Hallard. Hallard looks to find Choi out on the left. It's blocked. It was a vital block because, geez, the Reds would have been on. As it comes along off Joffrey's boot. Under it is Lush. Hickey wins. He's got Randall for company. Does well to weasel his way out and find a partner in Callan. He loses it. Back from Lush. And out of play for a throw in. So Callan again. Throw comes in. Mearns looks to turn with it. Blocked by Lush. One finds Choi. Back for Randall. Dipped over the top by Aldridge, and it's I think handled by Choi in the finish. So it'll be a free kick for the Warriors. Probably too far from home for anything over adventurous, although some numbers look to pour in. And Clarence will look to get back in numbers themselves. Hit well by Vandermeer over the top. Naden wins in the air. Comes forward. Dawu flashes a shot over the bar. A decent strike, but it was never really looked goal bound, as we'll see it again on the replay. It was a nice delivery off the boot of Vandermeer. Naden, a defiant head, helped further by Lush, and it was a nice connection, but wasn't finding itself in the old onion bag.
Always going over the top, that one. Good defensive header one by Nick Naden. Pretty solid in the air. Hallard lets that one float straight over his head. Picked out Choi in the end. Aldridge looking to work through, but it's Vandermeer back the other way. He surges forward, does Vandermeer, and now Leaman's in a little bit of space. His touch was heavy though, and Burgess again away, sticking very tight to him. He's a bit explosive at times, Burgess, but I think he's under pretty strict instructions to stay back today. Wouldn't be expecting too many marauding runs from him. Played an attack earlier this year, but he's played pretty well at right back for the last few weeks. He gets a foot in here, but Leaman works it back to Drake. Now he's the target man, Glynn. He picks out Mearns. He turns with the ball. Naden tight on him again, forces him to go wide. Hickey's gonna play it down the line, finding a yard of space here is Leaman overlapping. He punches it in, but Stevens was there on hand to get a foot in and just stop that attack. Lovely ball from Hickey to play in Leaman, who found a yard of space. This one's whacked out of there by Burgess. And it's going to bounce out of play for a Farquhar throw in. Mearns looking to flick on, floated over his head to Naden. His pass couldn't pick out Aldridge because Altman sniffed that out and shut it down. Mearns rolls over the top of it. One back by the Reds. The throw in. 21 minutes gone at Warrior Park. Clarence defending pretty resolutely at the moment. Looking well organised. Saw the Lions do that for 45 minutes last week. Couldn't hold out though. Here is Callum. Mearns to Drake. Turned over and Aldridge. He had an option to play it first time to Hallard. Didn't in the end try to play a soft one forward. Went straight through that really heavy puddle, which is just stopping the ball dead every time it goes near it. Leaman did well and he's in behind here, but Hedge was across to cover. Puts it behind for another corner. Very diligent there. Leaman starting to get involved in this game. A couple of times he's got him behind. Wide on the left. He'll take the corner very quickly. Might have caught him unaware here. Wadawu with a chance to cross. Headed over the top by Burgess. Will it go behind for another corner? No, it'll just be the throw in for Callan. They're a little bit asleep there, the Reds. Wadawu with plenty of space. We'll send the man to cover him. Will we see the long throw now? We do in the direction of Glynn. Look to flick it on, but Lush got in the way. Now Randall down the line. Just punches it out of play. Olympia continuing to apply pressure. Or is it the Reds continuing to repel them here? Warrior Park. Altman wanted it short, ignored that and goes further down the line to Wadawu. Randall flicks it up to Choi. He works it on to George Hallard. The target man controls. Didn't really have much in support. Aldridge was all of a metre away from him. A better offer. Mearns now wins it back in midfield. Immediately looks to switch it out to the left and Leaman, but Burgess chopped that out. Here's Zach Drake. Aldridge disrupts him. Altman lofting it forward. Lush's head there. Hickey with a little back heel. Picks out Mearns. Mearns looks to get around Naden. Did so with a nice pass to Hickey, and he releases Wadawu. Lush tight to him. It's a lovely cross. It falls for Leaman, and it's saved brilliantly by Randall in the end. I thought the shot just lacked a little bit of power, but Randall did enough to see it around the post. As we have a look at the replay, Wadawu. It's a lovely cross from him through a few legs. And he's just spun. That's a brilliant save in the end from Randall.
Really good save. I think he adjusted. I think he was going a bit quicker than that as well. He held up a little bit, Randall. It was a good save. Full of confidence is Drake. They'll play with confidence. Out on the right to Wadawu. This is a menacing ball into the top of the 6-yard box, and Hedge cuts it off. So a corner now. from Wadawu. And it goes. Drake almost meets it with a head, and then Farquhar agonisingly close, but Randall on hand to collect. We'll see it again. In from Wadawu. Drake tries an effort. Farquhar a little bit on it, but not enough to trouble Randall. Picked up in midfield by Hickey. Hickey to Farquhar. Yet again, Wadawu's on if they can find the switch. It's from Mearns to Ortman. It's a great through ball, but a little bit too much on it. And race out of play. Right idea, though, from young Ortman. It seems to be their go-to, Drewster, trying to find Wadawu on this far side. He has been getting a little bit of latitude on Lush at stages.
There's a knock on the Clarence back floor. It's probably a lack of pace, so Wadawu being Olympia's quickest attacker, probably not the worst idea to try and feed him and get him running, but they're sitting so deep, he's not really had the space to be able to work in that Wadawu would like. He usually does his best work from quick counter-attacks, and you're not going to find a lot of room or space to run into in this one, Wadawu. Hickey might be able to get him behind here. Lush is across the deal with him. Pretty good so far, Lush. Wadawu's got inside of him here, though, and then he beats Naden. This is lovely from Wadawu. Edge again with a foot, and merge with a drive from range, which Randall was away too. And the youngster is standing up well under pressure early here. A good debut from him. He launches it long in the Hallard direction. Rising past was Vandermeer. Now Aldridge nods it down only as far as Callan. Ortman controls in midfield, then lofts it out to Wadawu, and again lashes over there to nod it into touch.
He's been very, very good, Randall.
Yeah, he really has, Jablonski. Always a tough call when you change the goalkeeper, as we see Callan looking to burst into space here. They were all over the top. And yeah, it's always tough. A very fragile mental state, some keepers. It's always a tough one to manage. It's always a big call, and he's made the decision to drop Dyson, and 26 minutes in, it's looking the right one so far. Dyson, a disappointing couple of weeks, but never an easy decision. It's not like replacing a striker or a midfielder. It's a much different decision for the manager to make, and the youngster has stood up well so far.
Comes along from Randall, brought down, picks out Naden. He'll try and get through a sea of legs. Ends up going back for Hallard, and then Mearns steals nicely. He's done that quite a bit so far. Nick Mearns just steals and bursts. This is played from Vandermeer to Hickey, and a nice little dink over the top of the defensive line. Wadawu helps himself to it, lays it back. Glynn with a shot and another save from Randall. He's on fire as the young gloveman. It's picked up from Drake now, as it's in the Warriors' defence. Lays out wide for Farquhar. It's getting adventurous. Puts inside for Leaman, back for Ortman. It's a shanked effort off the outside of his boot. They get it clear. Not for long. It comes to Drake. It's to play a direct ball. The edge of the box to Glynn is blocked for an instant. Then Hickey tries a shot from range, and it's wide to the right of goal. Nice little effort, though, from Shea Hickey.
Glynn's got to score this. It's a good save, but a striker's got to put this one away if we can get a replay of the previous chance when you get a moment there, Ash. It was just a great chance, really. It fell to him in the perfect spot in the box. Randall's made a good save, as we'll see, but Graham Glynn needs to be doing better than that. That's what the front man's there for. Just too straight at him.
It's very savable, isn't it? That's the issue. He hasn't asked too much of Davey Randall there, but
to pick out. It's straight at him, but once again, the youngster standing up under fire. Yeah. Impressive.
Absolutely. As Choi looks to race down a ball out on the left, he does enough to pressure Vandermeer, who almost looks to lose it, but Hickey gets involved with some neat work, and it's a nice little back heel that opens up with Dawu, who puts it out on the left and finds Leaman, who is offside once the referee sees the raised flag. So Leaman just got to move on a little bit too quick there, I think, for Dawu's ball. Either that or Dawu's ball got there too late for him. Regardless, the flag raised and it thwarts that attack. It'll be a Clarence United free kick as we tick close to the half-hour mark. Been a good contest. Comes along off the boot of Randall over the head of a couple, and it sits nicely. It's there for Choi, and he puts it into the side netting.
Oh, that's a shocking miss.
That is the... Oh, we've seen some horror misses in recent weeks. And that one adds to the list. That should have been a goal for Clarence United. Choi had done the hard work He just had to finish off. He's missed an open goal. Alan Jablonski will be tearing his hair out. That should have been 1-0.
Yeah, you've worked hard to defend for 30 minutes, you've held them out. That's what you do. Then you knock it long, you get them on the counter, you get them in behind. It's the game plan. He's missed the chance. That's a really poor one. I wonder if Rob might have just put him off a little bit, but no excuse for that from Joy. You've simply got to score that because you're not going to get too many chances. Fortunate not to be down, if not for some good work from the keeper. And then they score a chance. Can they get back and redeem the effort? Hallard fighting on against Vandermeer. Two physical customers there. Drake sweeping across to stop it now. Mearns will play to Hickey. Those two combine a lot, and here's Wadawu. Mearns will continue his run. He'll look to feed him, but Lush did well to shut that down. Mearns turning with it. He's got 2 to beat. Lush just got a little piece of him, did well. Hickey combines beautifully with Wadawu. He crosses in the Glynn direction, but again, Randall there to snatch it out of the air. Good handling there. Darby Randall again. He's been the best player in the park so far, I think you'd have to say, Darby Randall.
Yep, 100% agree. Drew through as Farquhar picks it up, and they stroll down the left. They're operating with this back 3 type setup, really, aren't they? At times. As it comes to Dawu, into the centre it goes, over the back for Glynn, and he can't bring it under his spell, and it's out for a corner, out for a goal kick even.
I think he was surprised the ball came to him. It floated over the top of Mearns. Probably thought the header of Hedge was going to get there, and he's just misjudged it in the end.
Had to claim that one, didn't he?
He's not having the best game, Big Glynn, so far.
He hasn't lit it up, it's fair to say. Darby Randall over it. It's a flat pass, not his best. Picks out Hickey. Luckily, Hedge on hand. Switches wide to left to pick out Choi. He'll have a point to prove. Really should have buried one just a moment ago. Hallard looks to put it out left and asks for Choi to run to it too much. As Cullen has it. Plays for Vandermeer, who finds Hickey, who keeps it moving. He strides forward to Farquhar, finds Leaman. Leaman out in front of Farquhar again. He's kept on marauding down that left-hand side. He loses it this time, and Aldridge plays for Rob. Will receive back. No, he won't, as Farquhar does some good defensive work. Holds onto the ball. Back for Altman, the business. Looks to switch wide. Asks a fair bit of a dough. Is won by Lush, who's forgot where he is in the process. It's a chip over the top, nicely done from Mearns. A good run from Cullen, but Lush on hand to see it out for a corner. And a good opportunity for Olympia to threaten. But yeah, Olympia, interesting setup. They seem to be pretty much operating with a back 3, Drewster.
That's what they did last week in the second half against the Lions. They switched to this formation. They pushed Hickey on, and Drake, if one of us would go to the corner, it's over the top. It might fall for Farquhar. He takes the touch, gets it on his left, drives again. It's blocked behind for another corner by Hedge. As I was saying, they did this against the Lions last week. Drake drops back to cover if one of the centre-backs marauds forward. Otherwise, he's looking to push on himself. He's got permission playing in a central midfield role. It's a very different setup. Does leave a little bit of space in behind on the flanks. The team's to counter, but has plenty of numbers forward as Hickey, the man with the corner dues. That's a fizzing ball headed away by Maiden. It was a good corner. They looked to break on the counter, but Aldridge couldn't quite control it. Farquhar did well to get ahead. Now Mearns drives from range. It turns into a beautiful pass. Oh, Hedge across to see it away from Glynn. It fell perfectly for him. Mearns' shot turned cross. It's crossed to the back post. It floats over the top of everything, and it's just not going right for Big Ray Glynn at the moment, is it?
Day. I'll tell you what, superb sliding tackle from, we'll see it again from Hedge. It was a good ball, thread the needle. Glynn, his first touch, to be honest, was a bit of a shocker. It led in Hedge, and Hedge helped himself to it and cleared comfortably. And Clarence lived to fight another day.
They do. It was a challenge, but showed too much of it to him. 0-0, they're hanging in there, the Reds. They'd like to be 1-0 though. They really should have taken that chance. Here's Naden. Goes to Aldridge. Well read by Vandermeer. Classy little turn on the ball there from Mearns. Worked it to Waltman. Now to Hickey. Lovely ball into Leaman. He's in the box here, Leaman. His shot is straight at Davey Randall, who's again offering an assured pair of hands. Not an assured pass out from the back, though, and Ortland forces the turnover. And Naden is adjudged to have brought him down. And a slice of cheese there for Nick Naden. And a free kick in a very dangerous area.
Nick Naden into the ball. That one for me, I don't know whether it was Randall's service or Nick Naden just really in a world of his own, but there seemed to be little communication between the pairing. And the throw came to him. It was a perfectly fine throw if Naden was expecting it, but he didn't appear to be. So a set piece in a dangerous position.
Oh, for Gavin Hoy.
With Dawu and Hickey conversing over this one. I'd expect to see Wadawu maybe drive this one goalward.
You want it to just kind of bounce in front of the keeper on a day like this, the wet pitch.
Wadawu steps up, it's a flat strike, bobbles up on Randall, but he's good enough to claim it. And hopefully this throw out will be a little bit better off Randall. He opts to kick instead. Be the right option as it comes along. Asks a bit of Hallard in the contest with Vandermeer, who wins. Finds Hickey, nudges it out of play. It'll be a Clarence United throw in down the left hand side. Throw comes in. Down the line it goes. And a throw in now for Olympia as that one was quickly turned over. A flick back from Mearns. But it's opened up and Hallard tries to spot Joffrey off his line. Not far off, I tell you what. Jeez.
It wasn't a wet pitch, watch out.
Yeah, exactly right. It really held up in the sogginess just approaching the box. Otherwise that easily could have been 1-0. Joffrey maybe just, well, he's got a little bit of a warning sign there, hasn't he? It's a warning shot from Hallard, but I don't think Hallard will stop it. Just the positioning of Joffrey just now even lends itself to a long-range roost. Some nice play out on the right. 1-2s galore as Mearns works down the right, picks it up in midfield now. And it's with Dawu who fires home, but he's offside.
Oh, and does some beautiful work from Nick Mearns here, surging through, linking up perfectly. Some nice work there from big Glynn. Mearns played the return ball, but he's miles off with Dawu. And it doesn't matter that Randall is finally beaten. It's clearly offside and a good decision by the linesman. Hallard works it forward. Sure, you're not going to get to that though. The speedy Drake was across the cover and works it back to Pasquale Joffrey. He thumps it along in the other direction. Glynn with the chest down, controls it, works it back to Vandermeer. Now Farquhar charging forward. His progress halted. Very comfortable on the ball, the young centre back. This one will come off the back heel of Hickey. Didn't know much about it. Skipping through the middle is Randall, taking off on a nice little run there, Randall. Will it fall for Choi? Does. He goes back to collect it. The look-away pass and wins the throw-in. Mind that. Little look-away pass. Lush with the throw-in down the line. Now he punches it forward and this will go straight into the hands of Joffrey. Don't have to worry about that. It's a pretty ordinary kick. Might work though. Found Hickey. Now Waltman punching it forward. Will it slide in behind? It won't. Burgess as well. Works it to Stevens. Randall just waiting on the ball and nearly let him Mearns. Hickey back to Callan. Just trying to play some nice little short passes here. Tough day for it. Here's Wadawu. Lush got a foot in, as did Randall, but the Warriors will maintain possession. Callan tried to barge through Randall. Couldn't get round him though. Here's Zach Drake. Poor pass. And the Reds hurt them back the other way. A quick 1-2 and they're away. Choice cycling in behind here. He's got Hallard in the middle. It's Kyung-Min Choi. Slides it through for Hallard. Can he get it shot away? Deflects up in the air. Good stop in the end to deny Hallard. It was a lovely move on the counter. It's Aldridge now curling one and punched away by Joffrey. Finn Aldridge curling a shot for the corner. It was one that Joffrey always should have covered, and he was up to the task.
I think the rain made this a little more troublesome for him. It just sort of zipped at the last bit.
Yeah, good stop. Very alert from
Good save.
Pasquale.
Seen some good saves in this game already. Couple there from Joffrey. He hasn't been busy. He's able to just do what he needs to when called upon.
The Reds showing a little bit of threat the other way. They've absorbed a lot of Olympia pressure over the last 20 minutes, but a couple of times they've forced a turnover, and Hallard's been able to release Choi, who looks their most lively threat. Randall curls this one in, and it's headed just wide from Hallard. They're hanging in there, and they're showing they are a threat, the Reds. They've got goals in them.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to look back at that Choi miss and just wonder what the hell went on there, but the game's still up for grabs. They're still in it. That one never really looked like going in. Well and truly high and wide. But a decent effort as it comes along off the boot of Joffrey. Over Randall's head. Glynn might get involved here. No, Stevens cuts it out from under him. Hickey to Glynn again. Out on the left, he'll find Farquhar. He's been good, I reckon, Farquhar, as he puts it into the edge of the box. Headed clear by Hedge. Up on Aldridge, he can't control. The business Ortman picks it up. And just from viewing that, Hallard looks in a bit of a spot of bother as it comes down the right to Cullen off the boot of Wadawu. It bobbles around, but they eventually deal with it, the Reds. Aldridge combines with Choi. Pressure coming from Wadawu, and he sees it out. But Hallard, there was one there where he probably could have got to it, and he just couldn't quite get there. I don't know whether he's in a spot of bother or just short of a gallop after a few weeks off with an injury. He's out-muscled in that one, and Vandermeer has a lot of time to assess his options. He doesn't do it that well as he picks out Lush, a foul coming from Hallard on Vandermeer. Hallard has a few words to share.
There's in some doubt to play. Hallard been carrying an injury and missed a few weeks. Trained really well this week apparently and is deemed fit to play. He's probably back a little bit sooner than they expected. He initially injured himself. They're saying 4 to 6 weeks. Hopefully he hasn't aggravated anything. He seems to be alright. Just a little short of fitness as Mearns flicks on a dangerous header, but Randall was there to collect. Your body's not quite in the way as we tick towards half time. Still 0-0 here. The long one goes in the Hallard direction. He flicks on pretty well. Sure he hadn't made the run in behind Cullen though, and Joffrey will gather it. Pasquale goes along again. Wadawu up against Lush. Lush gets his head on it and then has to chase it down. Can't keep it in though, and a throw in a good area here for the Warriors. Taken by Hickey. In the Glynn direction, Stevens getting in ahead of him. Really nice movement there to get around Wadawu as well. He's been good today, Joey Stevens, inserted into the centre-back position. He's looked pretty good out there.
It's another one for every time Jabba seems to try something at centre-back, it seems to work okay. Maybe creates problems elsewhere, but I think that's where you'll see Stevens play his football. It's cut off in midfield by Ortman. He puts it right in the bullseye, and Rob almost helps himself. Farquhar good enough to win. Puts it out on the left for Leaman with a shimmy and a shaky. Goes inside. Glynn's first touch is a shocker. Lets in Hedge with a little help from Randall. Will clear not far enough as it finds Ortman. He goes to Mearns over the top. Finds Wadawu, a curling ball to the back stick. Glynn again. Oh, they've kept alive the Reds. They should have let that one go through. That is a shocking effort. I think it was Rob there. Should have let it go out.
Oh, what is he thinking? Why would you play that back in? He's just invited the pressure. They got away with one there. Randall came out flapping, and Rob, just a poor decision. And in the end, Zach Drake won't get too many easy goals than that. He finishes nicely into the corner, but Clarence, well, they've done so well for 40 minutes defensively, and that, I'm afraid, is just an absolute howler. Just kill the ball. Basic things they've done so well for 42 minutes. One mental error cost them 1-0 to the Warriors.
I feel sorry for his team there, because I mean, Glynn's very, very fortunate that they got a goal out of that, because he hashed that effort, and to be honest, I'm not sure what Rob was thinking. Maybe he thought he could play someone in and they could work it out, but it hasn't been their style all day. I don't know why you'd try it now, as it's picked up from Cullen. He's found a bit of confidence, bursts into the middle, tries a shot, I think it was. It's blocked at the edge of the box by Hedge. Held up well by Aldridge. Aldridge through for Naden. Naden will find Choi. He's got a bit of space on an opponent. He can use some speed, can he? Looks to nip it through. No one there for him though. to play it back as him and Hallard on completely different wavelengths. Olympia back the other way now through Mearns. Finds Glynn. The first touch lets him out onto the right. Looked to steady, but again it's a bit of a shocking touch that lets in Hedge, and Hedge being all over him like a cheap suit today.
Yeah, I thought he did alright on that occasion to win the throw-in. Here's Hickey back to Wadawu. Gets round one, then punches across to the back post. It'll float over all their heads. Leaman unable to get to that. So nearing half time, the Reds so close to heading in 0-0. The Warriors take their chance. They have been in control for the most part. The goal probably reflects the game in some ways. But certainly very ordinary at the back there. They give them a pretty soft one. Here's Hallard turning with it. Ortman was there to block his progress though. Hickey wins a header against Naden and it'll spill out to Leaman. Just a little bit casual there, Clarence, just watching the ball. No one went for it. They'll shift it out to the right hand side where Wadawu looks to blast one. It's going to rebound to Hallard. Playing that target man role. It's poor distribution from him though this time, and it'll allowing Leaman. Burgess did pretty well, but now he might be caught out of position, and Farquhar overlapping. Hedge across to deal with him. What can young Farquhar do? Shows a good touch and centres to perfection. Finds Hickey and he fashions a shot wide. It was lovely work from Farquhar to pick him out. And the ball just getting a little bit away from Hickey. The slippery pitch bringing him undone. Just losing his footing as he fired the shot. But beautiful centering ball from Farquhar. Been impressed with him so far. So good on the ball for a defender. At the age of 16, showing plenty of promise. Is Aiden Farquhar. Headed out of play there, and it'll be a throw in for Clarence. And they conjure up something before the break. Half time imminent here at Warrior Park. Not too many stoppages. Down the line they go. You'd imagine Olympia would be pretty happy just to shut this one down. Vandermeer pumps it forward, and that is half time here. Olympia a goal to the good. Zachary Drake scored against them last time. This one was a little bit less spectacular, but it counts all the same. He gives them the lead. An error from Andrew Robb letting the Canadian in, and he's punished them. 1-0 the Warriors at the break. Clarence, they hung in there. They were plucky. Randall was really impressive, but brought undone by a lapse just before the break, Gilly.
They were indeed. It was a lapse that may prove very, very costly. Choi with a glorious opportunity as well for Clarence that we left scratching their head wondering maybe how they don't have a goal. But a lead, and I'd say a deserved lead on the balance of play for the Warriors. They certainly haven't played their best football, and I think Clarence have been pretty good in negating them. But they're one goal to the good, and it's been a fairly entertaining tussle so far.
Yeah, plenty in it, as you'd expect from a derby. That's what you'd want from both teams. Olympia have controlled more of the possession. That was always likely to be the case. Clarence have been pretty well organised and structured in defence. They've made themselves hard to break down. They've defended pretty narrowly. The fullbacks have done a good job. The midfield, particularly Naden's done an outstanding job of getting back to help out the back four, and they were hanging in there, surviving the onslaught. The Warriors certainly created a few good chances. And then they had their moment up the other end where Choi could have put them 1-0 up. That's what they were doing. This is the game plan. Hang in there, then hit them on the break. But somehow conspired to miss. Did all the hard work around to the keeper and found the side netting only. And that really was made to hurt as the Warriors took their chance when they were gifted one. And they head into the break 1-0 up. Darby Randall, as we've seen, has been really impressive on his debut, the young keeper. Big call from Jablonski to bring him into this one, but he's stood up under fire pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. Here we'll see what is one of the misses of the season.
If not for Nick Morton, probably would be miss of the season.
Oh, how do you miss that? Had to just put it on target. It didn't matter how he hit it, just get it in there. A horrible miss, and unfortunately for Clarence, they trail at the break, and they'll be looking, well, if we had that goal, we'd at least be as good as 1-0, as good as 1-1 rather. But Olympia have the lead, and a deserved one in my opinion. The better players, Drewster. Let's just shoot through those for a moment. That man, Darby Randall, for me, has to feature. Young goalkeeper, been very, very good in the opening stanza.
Yeah, I think he's been great. I think Hedge has been good as well at the back. Those two have held things together pretty well. Aldridge has had a few touches of the ball that have been nice. I think the defensive players have probably been the most impressive. Burgess, I think, has been pretty good at right back. For the Warriors, Mearns has had his usual influence on the contest, doing a lot of good work. Joffrey's been solid when he's been called upon. Good save there, and I've really liked Farquhar's game.
Great.
He's really been eye-catching, the young centre-back, getting forward. I suppose that's part of the system McNeil's employing, where he's got kind of that permission to gallop forward. He is so comfortable on the ball, and then you'll have your Drake pushing back to cover if need be. Drake playing in the midfield role and has scored the goal, getting up there. Hickey's done some nice things, and look, as you've said, on the balance of play, I think the Warriors probably deservedly ahead.
Yeah, great. I think it's a fair enough 1-0 lead. I think Clarence aren't out of it. 1 goal adrift. They're still in it, but they're playing on the counter, and they've got to take their chances, and they've probably got to craft a few more of them in the second half. Not a heap of chances in that opening half. We might just take a bit of a breather now and get ourselves ready for what should be a massive second half in this Eastern Shore derby between Olympia FC Warriors and Clarence United. Currently, Olympia lead 1-0 at the break. Stay with us.
1, 2.
Back for the second half here at Wet and Wild, also known as Warrior Park. There's plenty of splashes. You could be forgiven to think it's a water park, but no, it's a football pitch, and we're treated to a pretty decent first half there at between these two bitter rivals. The hosts, the reigning champs, Olympia, hold a slender advantage, just the one goal, coming not far from the break. Clarence would be kicking themselves. They had a glorious opportunity, beyond glorious really, to open the scoring. An open net, and Choi couldn't find the target. But Olympia with the bulk of possession and bulk of play, and pretty deserved lead. We'll have a look at the table, Drewster, and see sort of where Olympia sit. They're a long way off the pace, so this one doesn't really have much to do with their standing. It's quite irrelevant for them, but it's quite big for Clarence United if they can claim a point or even 3.
Yeah, Olympia on a bit of an island really, especially if this result holds. It'd be 8 points adrift of Zebras and 8 points ahead of Launceston City. They've really been, as we said earlier, pretty comfortable against the bottom 4 teams, but blown out by the top 3 teams. It's been the sort of year they've had. They're quite clear they've been the 4th best team in the league. But Clarence, 6 points all coming against Rangers. They'd be hoping to steal a point here and maybe move ahead of the Lions. They've got it all to do though, up against this Warriors side who certainly have been on top. And it looks like a change has been made for Clarence. I can see Lawler out there for the Reds, so we're just trying to figure out who's come off. But an early change, it appears, for Clarence coming out of the half-time break, and Burgess, I think the right back's gone, so Lawler there, and it wouldn't shock me if they tried to get at him a little bit with Leaman or Waddell, who've both got a fair bit of pace, and he's more of a traditional stopper than a fullback, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I actually thought Burgess did a pretty good job on Leaman in that first half. Wadawu wasn't too bad. Actually, he was very good in that opening half up against Lush, who did well just to break even on occasions. But yeah, I actually thought Burgess was really good. So one would think that's not a tactical decision and more one brought on through injury, because I'm not sure what Lawler's going to give you in particular that Burgess wasn't. So the kickoff will be Clarence's, and they'll be firing towards the street. And they've got to try and clutch one back, or maybe even two, and really make this a big Eastern Shore derby to remember. So Hordle, the officiating referee, will stroll across and blow his whistle, and second half kickoff comes wide from Hallard to Rob, loses it. Naden wins it back. Rob again, an energetic start here from the Reds. Down the line it goes. It'll run out of play, and it'll be a goal kick.
So Pasquale will think about going short to Vandermeer, but that's for the ball to stop instead. Vandermeer pushes on now, so he decides to launch it down the line. Lawler's first involvement, didn't quite get there. It'll float over all comers. It'll be a throw in, taken by the substitute. He goes down the line in the direction of Naden, nodded over him though, and Glynn with a little pass, a bit over hit for Hickey. Rob to Naden, those two combining early in the half, but Shay Hickey was there to shut that down. The midfield general. Here's Farquhar. Looks up and sends a long diagonal. Couldn't pick out Leaman. Lawler got his head to it. Vandermeer there. Olympia just controlling the ball. Clarence sitting pretty deep, not really applying too much pressure, although Mearns just got a bit too clever there. Tried to dribble around Aldridge. That wasn't on. It was a poor pass from Aldridge though, put his teammate under a bit of pressure. Ortman now looks to win it back. Left it from Mearns. And back to Vandermeer, who retreats to Pasquale Joffrey. He sends them out to the right-hand wing. Picked up there by Callan. Lovely touch and pass into Ortman. Glynn controls it and then flicks it forward to no one because Wadawu hadn't made the run, and that lets the Reds off. Not quite on the same page as each other there, Glynn and Wadawu. A few good moments in that first half. Wadawu was lively at times. Down the line, Hickey and Randall bump into each other. Naden's pass is horribly skewed straight to the Canadian Drake, who gets it forward quickly to Glynn. Hedge was there covering, and Randall shows composure and works it out to Lawler. Clarence keeping along the carpet. There's a poor clearance though from Hedge. Drake up against Lawler, worked it to Leaman in the box now. Hickey, well read and recovered there by Randall. Drake trying to score. An absolute screamer. He makes pretty poor contact though, and it skews pretty poorly wide. He did score an absolute worldie the last time they met, so probably has permission to try the spectacular, the Canadian Zach Drake.
One wonders whether his countrymen will be introduced. Gavin Hoy on the bench. He must be recovering from a niggle or soreness or something, because otherwise he's much in the first choice lineup of any team. There's Pasquale, a rather nervy one, but does enough to find Callan, who nudges into the path of Ortman, who dishes back. Forward it goes. Glynn controls and finds Hickey. He's got Naden up on him, does well to shield his body and go back for Ortman, who finds Mearns. Switches wide on the left where Drake is overlapping. Puts it forward, looking for Leaman and Lawler. Never honest Lawler across to see it out. So, a throw in. Be a Leaman in for Hickey, and this one's blocked from Lawler. And the flag is raised on the far side, so it'll be an offside. And will be a Clarence United ball as they look to try and fight their way back into this one. Darby Randall over it. looks long, fires that way, looking for Naden. One in there by Mearns, but for the wrong direction. Vandermeer wins really well with Aldridge. Fouls coming, but he keeps on moving to Wadawu. He plays the early pass. It's cut off from Lawler. Was out looking for Hickey, and then Naden misplaces his ball and is out of play for a throw.
Start from Lawler, made a couple of nice interventions. It's coming onto the pitch. He's on the ball again here and plays in Mearns though. Naden in on him, must be a fascinating duel, those two playing very close to each other today. Sliding it through for Choi, can he keep it in? He can. The second touch didn't know, he initially did and then took it back out. They were on there on the count of the Reds. Choi's had a couple of moments like that where they've got him behind, breaking back the other way. Lush's pass was turned over. Coming together in midfield, and the referee will bring it back. No advantage as Hickey was looking to burst onto it for the Warriors. Joey Stevens will step up as we have a look at the replay there. Lush just caught late by the sliding Wadawu. Play continues. It's laid back to Aldridge. Aldridge now to Stevens. Wadawu pressuring him, so he's forced to go all the way back to Darby Randall. Just took a bit of a bobble as he controlled it, then turned it over to Hickey. Hickey slides it through to Glynn. This is looking ominous. His return pass was lacking. Oh, Naden lets in Hickey and he curls one, which is well wide. A rare mistake there, allowing a second bite at it for Shea Hickey. Don't want to be turning the ball over in those areas. Just a heavy touch from Naden, going back centrally. Stevens really clearing the area with authority. And Randall goes down to the guts again. Flicked up high by Aldridge. Naden and Mearns again collide. Vandermeer always favoured out of Rob. There's Hallard, his first real involvement in the half. Lawler punches it down the line. Tight confines, and they've turned it over as looked like Leaman had got it. And the referee doesn't allow the advantage, instead pulls it back. A little bit surprising. Thought he was on there, Leaman. Referee pulling it back. Strange one.
So Vandermeer over it. It's a chipping ball looking for Glynn off his chest. Finds with Darwin. Nips it back in the centre. Cut off from Hedge. He's been very, very good on Glynn this afternoon. Callum with a header that gets it moving the Warriors' way. It's shielded nicely from Altman, and then it's with Dawu with a blistering ball to the 6-yard box. No one there to tap it home. A lot of this from Wadawu. We saw Lush was nowhere near him on that occasion, so he found a lot of latitude on his full back and burst away. He's had a good afternoon while on Wadawu.
No one quite gambling there to get to the back post for the tap in. It was a lovely ball. Hickey not quite able to get to it. Stevens pressured by Glynn. Forced into an out pass in the end. Glynn turns it over. Brings it back for his side. And Altman to that man Wadawu. Cuts in. Dangerous ball. Glynn with a little flick to himself, but allowed Randall to get a hold of it. Down the line. Almost cut out, but it might fall fortuitously, and that was a crucial little touch on it, or Choi was away. Played in by Hallard. Really vital little touch to block that one. Now Farquhar back to Joffrey. He'll just play it carefully around the back to Vandermeer. Allowed to run at the defence here. They sit back and chips it forward. Leaman was making a bursting run. Lawler always favouring the air. Mearns, his header went nowhere, and now they can launch a counter-attack. I don't know if Rob's going to be able to get to this one though. He just eludes him and gets out of play. Making a bursting run. Clarence still trying to hit them on the counter and sitting off them really, not pressuring them too much till they get around halfway. Here's Mearns charging through the middle. Oh, opens up the space here. Mearns sliding it through for Glynn. He hadn't made the run though. Frustrated Nick Mearns. Hasn't quite come off for him today. Long again they go. Hallard up against Vandermeer. Lovely flick on. Can Rob get there before Joffrey? He can't, and in the end, Joffrey's copped one on the schnoz there from Rob, I think. He was bursting through. It was incidental. Joffrey not terribly pleased, just getting up in the grill of Hallard. And a couple of...
Hallard must have said something there.
That's what we want from a derby though, isn't it? Bit of fight. he did well to slide there and following through. Just coming together. Unavoidable, really. Just two players going at the ball. Good courage shown from the keeper and wins the decision for his side.
Lofts long. Looking for Glynn. He heads, but only to Hedge. He finds an ally in Big Kev Lawler. Loses it though and gives it straight to his opposing number in Leaman. He can't quite get it in the box. Stevens nicely done to weasel his way out and find Choya on the left-hand side. For Lush, Hallard, too cute. Picked up by Cullen. Back for Farquhar, who's been very, very good. Farquhar short. Finds the business. Through he goes, looking for Wadowie. Nipped away from him by Lush. Now with Aldridge. He played down the left channel. He opts to cut back in. Finds Naden. Naden pressured by the little terrier that is Mark the Business Aldridge. Mark the Business Ortman rather. And now it is Aldridge who picks it up and fancies a long-range roost. It's cut off though by Ortman, and now with Moons who plays back to Ortman. And back to Vandermeet. They've definitely come out firing more than the Reds in this second half, the Warriors. Particularly in midfield. Just finding a lot more room. A lot of pressure coming. This one from Mearns dropped off to Adawu. It's another one of those ripping balls where he really gets a hold of it. It's cut off early though. Flicked on from Choi. Cut off from Farquhar. Hickey to Mearns, who spins and cops a leg. And it's a slice of cheese for George Hallard, who brings Mearns to his feet afterwards. Fairly apologetic from the Reds target man, but it opens up a good opportunity for Olympia to extend their advantage.
Nick Mearns drawing the free kick, and he's a big reason why they've been able to get on top in the midfield. He's been very busy in this half, Mearns. He's always presenting short. Anytime a defender has the ball, he's offering the short pass. He gets up and links with the wingers really well. He's been all over the park, and he's really asserting himself on this contest in the opening 10 minutes of the second half. And will he be the one to take this free kick to try and double the advantage? Seeing Wadowie over it. Mearns favoured to strike. He curls one low, but he's never travelling Darby Randall. He grabs that and launches the throw to try and get a counter-attack going. Hallard with a good flick on. No one was really making a run. Ortman gets back to cover Naden, who had tried to get there, but he was going from all the way in his own box. Leading to the ball was Lush, beat Wadowie. Now Glynn has the ball fall into his path. Can he link up with Mearns? He does. This is looking dangerous. They're on here, and Mearns' contact is poor. It might still work out for him. It does. It's spilt to Leaman. He drove it into the corner and doubles the Warriors' advantage.
Game over, one would suspect as well, I reckon, Drewster. Although 2-0 is apparently, allegedly, a very dangerous lead. I think they're looking comfortable with the Warriors. And Nick Mearns, you would have probably backed him to get this on goal. It was a shocking effort. Blocked well by Hedge, but fell nicely for Leaman, and he just got it outside of the reach of Randall and into the bottom corner. And that also marks the end of Warren Wadawie's day, it looks like. Or is he just marching back? He looked like he was in a hurry to get off, but he's just marched back to his position in the finish. It's a bit strange, really. So a kick-off for Clarence United. They've got plenty to do now. 2 goals adrift. Tough to see them clawing back into this one, Drewster. They'll do well just to limit the damage, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. They've got half an hour. If they can pull one back, you never know, but certainly the Warriors get their second. That their dominance is probably deserved. A bit unlucky there, Hedge. Made a good block on the shot. Just spilt rather fortuitously to Jacob Leaman, who buried it in the bottom corner. Clinical from him. No one across to cover him. Of course, they'd all been drawn out of position by the turnover that initiated the attack. So some good work. And Mearns again, skipping around defenders. He's on fire, Nick Mearns. Hickey across now, and this is looking dangerous. Cutting in is Leaman. it's repelled for now. He's got the ball. Altman now in space. Altman with a tidy little pass to Glynn, who flicks it up for himself. It was a lovely turn there from Glynn, but the defence does well to hold out. Olympia really turning the screws here, firmly on top. Drake now plays one to the path of Glynn, who was lunging at it, but it follows into the hands of Randall in goals. Aldridge now, he's got round Altman and he's surging forward. He's something on here for the Reds. No one really making a good run for him, so he's just got to continue carrying and just show too much of it to Van der May. Defended it superbly, but a real lack of supporting runs there for Aldridge. Hallard, probably not the paciest customer. Choi was well covered. Right, Callan on one flank, and Drake and Farquhar was shutting down Rob on the other. So well organised defence there by the back three as it is, and Drake occasionally dropping back for the Warriors. A very different formation, as this one's lofted forward in the Glynn direction. It'll go all the way through to Randall. But, certainly, I suppose, given where the season's at, Stevens is very cool and calm there to skip around one. I suppose given the year they're at, it's about developing and trialling new things with youngsters, so why not go with the back three? It's worked pretty effectively today. Burns wins it back again. He's tackled, and then Stevens is robbed of it by Leaman. He sends it to Glynn. He can surely score here. Glynn, he does just that. It's 3-0, and their dominance is really being put on the scoreboard. It was poor from Stevens. He was robbed of it by Leaman, and Graham Glynn gets his goal. They're really putting him to the sword now, Gilly.
You say robbed, I say gifted. I'm a big fan of cool, calm, collected. Joey Stevens, too cool, too calm, too collected on that occasion. Just had to get rid of it. He just tried, obviously a moment ago, a nice little bit of trickery in the last line, and then he tried a bit more out on the wing and it didn't come off. Just had to get rid of the ball and get it moving the Reds' way, and now that's well and truly curtains on this one for Clarence United. Again, it's about limiting the damage as it comes down the left flank where Dawu looks on. He fires and it's wide and out to the right.
Real holes opening up at the back now for Clarence, isn't there? This wasn't present in the first half. They were very well organised. The defence was being well supported by the midfield. Now they're just turning the ball over in dangerous areas, and Olympia really getting at them. The fitness of Clarence perhaps not at the level that they might like. We've seen a few second half fade outs this year, and they've really got to lift here or this could get quite ugly.
Yeah, also, when you look at the goals, it's 3-0 and 2 goals genuinely from mistakes from Clarence United. So, when you put it that way, they've only really got themselves to blame. Yeah,
they've been soft ones, and Olympia have controlled the contest, but the goals haven't had to be particularly well worked. They've just been given to them. Some good work dispossessing them. Leaman with a goal and an assist now. He won the ball, and it was twice. Naden also got robbed in the build-up to that by Mearns, who's really dominated this second half so far. Just winning the ball in midfield and setting him away, and so many holes at the back for the Reds. They've pushed a few on here as they seek a way back into it. Hallard's touch was heavy and then he just hacks it up in the air. Rob might be able to win it. He's up against Wadawo. Poor touch though. Allows Wadawo in and he skips around Aldridge. Now he gets around Lawler. Skips around him like a witch's hat, but working back hard was Aldridge. He did really well to win it back for his side. Good work there. He was beaten initially, but he bunted up. And again, they've turned it over at the back though. Mearns fighting through, gets it to Glynn, looking to shape to shoot. His shot is blocked by Stevens. Will it spill for Altman? He gets there, but Lush was across to pressure him and forces the error. And skews on out of play.
What did Clarence take out of this performance so far, Drewster? I wouldn't have thought a great deal. They would have been coming in looking for probably a little bit better than this.
Well, I think they'd be pretty happy with the first 40 minutes, but really just before half-time they have that lapse and they've been bang average here in the second half, to be completely honest. They're playing really poor football, and unless they get their act together, they could see a few more as Naden storms forward. He's off on a very good run here from the middle of the park. He sets it out wide to Choi. First time crosses, a dangerous one. Rob was there. It might fall for Hallard, who drives it. He made poor contact though, and he shanks it wide. That was better. A storming run from Naden to set it up, but no end product there for the Reds.
Hallard, he must be short of the goal. His defensive pressure when they don't have the ball isn't crash hot. I think he's still recovering from that injury as it comes out on the right-hand side through Hickey, looking for Callan, who's kept on running. He's well won by Lush. Can't find Choi though, finds Hickey instead, and he's found Callan, who stayed up there. In a spot of bother here, Clarence. No, ball to the top of the box, and there for Lawler. Lays claim to it, sprays it straight out of play. A bizarre one.
Distribution from the back has been absolutely dire in the first 20 minutes of this half. Yeah, turning the ball over far too often, as we see. It looks like Bug, is it, going to be introduced for the Reds? And it's going to be the end of Kyungmin Choi's day. He'll be disappointed. He had the chance to put his side a goal to the good, and he didn't take it. 3-0 now. That seems a distant memory as he comes off. And Choi will be left frustrated. He's had a couple of times where the game's opened up for him. Didn't quite have the impact he would have liked. As Lawler launches it down the line. Moon's got his head to it. Got it to Warren Wadawu. Just skip around one. Glynn set him a bit of a task, and Naden did well to win the throw for his side. Down the line he goes. Rob was there. Mearns skipping through. Linked up well with Glynn. Centering ball for Hickey, whose drive is shut down by Lush. Stuck to his task well. Altman looking to switch the play, but picked out Lawler. Now Aldridge waits on the ball. Who's he got in support? Oh, he had Rob making a good run, but he picked out Drake with a really poor pass there, Aldridge, and now the Canadian back the other way. Glynn looked to get around Stevens, but his pass went straight to him. And again, it'll be Rob White on the right receiving the ball. Lays it back to Aldridge. He turns into trouble, so retreats back to Hedge. Pumps it down the line. Here's Haller. That's a good flick on. Can Rob get in behind Vandermeer? Pretty tough customer to beat. Not many can get round the Warriors' central defender, although he's done him all ends up here, Rob, and he cuts it back, but Aiden Farquhar was there to cover. He's been outstanding, that young man, today. He has been absolutely superb at the back. He's offered a bit going forward. He was there to shut that one down. Hickey and Naden duel, and Hickey just shrugs him off, then lays it for Drake. Naden slid in hard. He's not stopped working, Nick Naden. So all come off for him today, but you can't fault his work rate. Here's Glynn now. Stops the ball and then cuts back inside. Lays a through ball. Deflected into the path of Watawu. And now it's another shot and another goal. It's Jacob Leaman again. 2 goals and an assist for him. He's having some sort of day. He's young Jacob Leaman. A clinical finish, and they are running up the score now. Clarence falling apart at the back. Just being picked apart, far too many holes, but that's a superb finish from Leaman, nestling in the corner from the edge of the area. What a top hit that was.
I feel really sorry for Darby Randall because he's had a stellar 40 minutes, pulled off some top draw saves, and now his defence has just gone to absolute shambles for him in the second stanza, and he's seen plenty fly past him, and he couldn't have done anything about any of them.
He's really been left hung out to dry, hasn't he? Not too many dry bodies out there on this day. But yeah, he's been a bit of a hiding to nothing really in the second half. He's been probably one of Clarence's best still. But lovely finish from Leaman, and he's having a fine game now. They work it to Hallard. He looks to pick out Rob, but went straight down the throat of Vandermeer instead.
I'm interested in the change with Choi coming off. I thought maybe switch Choi into midfield and take Sam Randall out onto the wing would have been the obvious option. I think he's been a little bit lost in midfield as the ball comes into the box and Mearns just runs away from his outstretched boot. Yeah, I think Randall's been a little bit lost in midfield. He's naturally a winger or a fullback. I would have thought that would have been a little switch they could have done, or potentially bring Randall off and move Choi into midfield, because he's been giving much, in my opinion. Not through lack of effort. It's just not. I don't think midfield is where he belongs. As Naden goes on a marauding run, meets Drake though, and then Aldridge provides support to squeeze it out, but it was off a red last, and it'll be a throw in.
Interesting, the Olympia appear to have switched to a back four again, with Callan at right back and Drake at left back here in the second half, with the result looking pretty comfortable as the ball clatters into Wadawu. Really makes him earn it. Wadawu just turns around, wonders what that was that hit him. Here's Mearns. Close control is good. Back to Drake along the line to Wadawu. Randall off on him. Hickey sets it through. Wadawu's got the pace he'd fancy, and he surges down the wing. He crosses, but Joey Stevens was in hand to block it before Glynn could get there. Here's Nick Naden. Touch was a little heavy. Took it wide. Spills on out of play. The result assured, I suppose, going back to the back four and shutting it down. Fairly logical decision from McNeil. No need to leave big gaps at the back. Here's Farquhar. Hickey combining. Ortman, Hickey and Burns have really dominated the midfield in the second half too. Really wrestled all the ascendancy there.
Yeah, and Jacob Batt, who's doing the blog for us, mentioned before just the lack of pressure from Clarence in midfield, and I think it's spot on. They've been able to just do what they like in the middle, to be honest, Olympia. They've bossed it. It's picked up from Farquhar. It finds Hickey. She's wide to the left. Picks up Drake, who shimmies and shakes, and I think it was across to the top of the six looking for Leaman. Doesn't come off as it's collected by Randall. Throws out long, finds Aldridge. Nice bit of work from Aldridge there. To Naden. To Rob. Rob on a burst. Looks to play a flat ball, looking for maybe Hallard. It was cut off from Vandermeer. To Hickey. To Wadawu. Switches to Mearns. Bobbles up from him to Leaman. An errant touch. Lets in Lush. Back to Stevens, who gives the ball straight to Callan. Callan back the other way, gives it straight to Stevens. So they exchange passes there as it comes long from Rob. Picks out Bug. He bolts down the left. He's inside the box now as Vandermeer loses it. He's calling for a corner, and that's what it'll be. So, good endeavour there from Jared Bug. And he'll look to bring it in. Plays out. It's a shocker of a ball, I thought, for Rob. Rob nudges into the path of Aldridge. They've hemmed themselves in here pretty much, Clarence, but Aldridge good enough to get out of it. Lays back. It's blocked. And away for Olympia through Hickey. It's a nice bit of work from Aldridge. They got him in an absolute mess, but he found his way through. From Callan now, switches right to left and picks out the Canadian Drake. Short. Offering is Wadawu. Uses him. Out in front of Drake again. Cut off and cleared. But not for long from Lawler. Farquhar nudges to Waltman. The business. Fancies himself. It's blocked by Glynn. Handled even. And it'll be a Clarence United ball. It looks like a substitution awaits.
Interesting at that last corner, they took it short quickly, but they only had one man in the box, Clarence. So I'm just thinking there's a few tired bodies out there. They're not wanting to get up there for the corner, so they have to run all the way back. I think they are tiring quite badly in this one, the Reds. And one body in the box was really Aldridge didn't have an option. He had to do it all himself and nearly did it. It was a lovely little mazy run from him, but just no one there. It looks like a couple of the youngsters are going to get a run here with the game in hand.
And Mearns off and Callan off, and on comes, I think that's Jaris Lasek. I think that's his name. I might be wrong. It might be Tommy Little, actually. Tommy Little, I think it is. And so Tom Little and Harrison Thomas, who we've seen quite a bit of at a number of clubs. It falls to Buggy, fires. Is saved well by Pasquale Joffrey. That was something from nothing really for Clarence. Bug, a decent shot. I think it was always going wide, but well saved nonetheless by Joffrey.
He's had a little bit since coming on, Bug. He's had a couple of bright moments now on the left, so probably a good substitution there by Jablonski. He's added a little bit of threat down the left-hand side.
Don't disagree. My whole thing was that maybe Sam Randall could have paved the way for someone else, as it's a nice head at the top of the six by George Hallard. He had it. Yeah, he had it to himself, didn't he, Drew Stones? You don't see that very often. Good delivery onto the head from Rob. And look, he's all on his own. Where is the Olympia defence? Just couldn't keep it down though, Hallard. And it goes high and over the bar. So this long ball is tipped out by Lawler.
Yeah, a bit of a missed opportunity there for the Reds to pull a consolation marker back. Altman beaten to the ball by a sliding Hallard. That was good. Can Bug get in there first? He whacks one down the line. Far too heavy for anyone, so it'll roll out of play for a throw-in. Maybe they can try and box him in, but not a lot of running out there from the Reds. A few tired bodies. They take the throw-in here. A few push-up now. Aldridge and Naden. Lawler sticking tight to Wadawu, who comes in that direction. Wadawu wins the flick on. No one in behind him though. So a throw in. Lawler will launch this one in the Naden direction. Hickey got in ahead though, did well. He's the substitute Thomas, gets it to Glynn. Hedge away from him. Now Andrew Robb cutting through the middle, but went straight to the path of Hickey, who said thank you very much, then looked to slide it through for Wadawu. Lawler did really well to shut that down though. Got a foot in the way, or Wadawu was absolutely off to the races. He gets the ball here, centres it. Thomas across to Vandermeer. Horrible first touch, nearly let Naden and Bug in. Now it's chipped over the top and Bug will try and get there, but alert to the danger was Pascali Joffrey, who hacked it out of there. Hasn't had to do heaps today, but what he's done really well today, Joffrey. As this one is a dangerous ball in for Wadawu. Stevens beat him to the punch and it's hacked out of there.
Geez, they've missed Warren Wadawu, Drewster. Just today he's been superb. He's been the go-to outlet. There's a nice ball through from Aldridge. Asks a fair bit of George. How hard will he be up to it? He slides to keep it alive, but I think it was over the line regardless. So it'll be a Warrior ball. But yeah, just Warren Wadawu, what he provides in terms of attacking impotence and just the threat.
Stretches defences with his pace, getting him behind, and they'll look forward to getting him and Hoy playing together, because those two link up really well when Hoy plays in behind. So they'll certainly love to have him. That said, the man who you'd think would probably come out would be Altman or Leaman, have both been very good. Leaman not going to be dropped after a performance like this with 2 goals and an assist, so it'll be interesting to see who Hoy will come in for. But certainly been very impressive today with Darwin. They've attacked them well from wide areas. So they work it forward now. Here is that man, Wadawu, chips it down the line for Drake, who's bombing on, playing at left back here in the second half. Oh, what a turn that is from Drake. Centering ball to Glynn. Hits the post, I think. Oh, just lacked the finish. It was a brilliant setup from Zach Drake. Burst down the line, spun beautifully. What a player he is in full flight. The attacking threat not completely done with yet though. Now Rob will just smash it out of there, but very nearly 5-0 there, Gilly.
Very nearly indeed as the throwing comes in. Just play back from Hickey to Joffrey, who's a long way from home, but in no hurry. Long lofting ball, one in the air by Lush. Naden desperately gets a touch on it, but straight to Ortman, whoever hits his effort over the head of Lush and out of play.
Long throw in the direction of Bug, and he flicks on, but straight out of play. So just going through the motions here with 13 minutes to play. The game well and truly done with damage limitation mode for Clarence, you'd fancy. Leaman trying to get in behind Lush. Works it to Stevens. Joey Stevens turns on a dime. That was lovely from Joey Stevens, and played it short to Naden. His pass is easily cut out though by Little. Now Randall works it to Aldridge, thumps it down the line where Bug had just found a yard, but it was shut down again by Little. And now Farquhar. Drake. Wadawu. Back to Farquhar. Just stroking it around the pitch here, the Warriors. Hickey worked it to Altman. His pass was out, though. Let him Bug. He's got Randall bursting through the middle. He goes himself, though, and took it wide. Just needed to slide it through to Randall there, and he would have had a one-on-one with the keeper. Yeah. Aldridge, sorry. And so the number there, but really, if he just slides that through, Finn Aldridge has a very good chance. Just a little bit goal hungry there, I think. Bug just needed to lift the head. They take the corner quickly. It's headed away by Drake. And that's very ugly indeed, and should be pretty easy for Joffrey, and it is. It'll be a goal kick, in fact, floating out of play, that one.
Goal kick indeed. This result well and truly done and dusted, Drew. So the sting gone quite a while ago out of this game. Clarence still trying, but the result well beyond them as Farquhar goes off on an adventure. Switches wide, finds Leaman. So a good afternoon. Provided a real threat on the wing. Through it goes, flicked on from Glynn, sits for Thomas. It's a blocked shot. Well done from Hedge. He's been Clarence's best. From Hickey to Drake, who shapes the shoot, is blocked by Randall. Glynn with a touch, but Bug helps it in Clarence's direction. Flicked on from Aldridge, no one home but white shirts. And the fluoro of Joffrey. He goes long. Looking for Leaman, who wins in the air. Wouldn't have been fancied in that battle. Did well, did Leaman, but they win it back the Reds, and now with Naden to Hallard, who goes wide. Finds Lawler, who goes back to Hallard. He's kept on trying. Stevens out to Bug. Bug back for Lush. Rob loses it. Farquhar with a nice tackle. Now with Thomas, they're at the races. Leaman picks it up. He's got pace to burn. He drops it off for Thomas. A flat strike. Finds Glynn. Glynn with some nice footwork and puts it in the bottom left. Nicely done from Glynn. It's been a much better second half from the Irishman.
Well, he's just made Hedgie look bang average there. He's just waltzed around him. A lovely piece of work from Graham Glynn. A composed finish. He has been much better in the second half. He's been fantastic, in fact, after a disappointing first 45. He's turned it around, as has his side. It was once again Leaman making it happen. The shot came in, turns, fakes the shot, works it back as the centre-back and the keeper beaten at that point, and he just needs to stroke it in. A lovely goal there for the big striker.
Had them going like synchronised divers there.
Sold them a fair bit of candy, and absolutely did they buy it. And 5-0 now, the exclamation mark on this victory. They've really dominated the contest, and it's showing on the contest. It was far too easy, and Leaman has been really lively in the second half. Every time Lush has pushed up, he seemed to have got him behind him. He's wreaked havoc down that wing. He's played a big part in another goal there. It's great, works it back. He looked to get around Naden, he does. He was fouled though. And will draw the free kick in a good area. They want to take it quickly, Altman. He had Wadoa in space. Takes it quickly back the other way instead to Shea Hickey. Casually strokes it out. Leaman's bobbing up on the other flank now. He crosses, and that'll be gobbled up by the keeper. Hallard. Now Rob. Hallard just stops on the ball, strokes it in the middle where all on his own was Aldridge. Probably could have taken a touch himself, decided to lay it back to Naden. That was ill-advised because he had Thomas all over him. Just invited a little bit of unnecessary pressure there with Aldridge. It's been a bit symptomatic of the Reds in this second half, really. The decision-making hasn't been good.
That was poor from Aldridge. Had a lot more time than maybe he realised, but he could have actually taken a touch and turned around and tried to craft something as it comes to Drake, finds a bit of room. It's closed down. Back from Stevens to Drake, though. This time Randall with a touch. Can't see it wide of Thomas. And Altman back to the defence. It's been so sturdy. Apart from one real glaring effort in the first half that should have been a goal from Choi. And this will be a Clarence ball. It's the Olympia attack ends. Ball over the ball line. So 83 and we're into the 83rd minute. And not much more to be added to this one. Maybe a consolation goal for Clarence, but the ball game's well and truly sewn up.
And once again, the Warriors comfortably dealing with the team below them on the ladder. It's been their MO all year, really. They're now going to be 8 points off third place and 8 points ahead of fifth.
They're in limbo, aren't they, really?
They're on an island in the middle there. Lawler collects Farquhar. Got a fair old piece in there with a shoulder barge.
There you go, young man.
No, the zealous there from Lawler, and Veneme just wondering if maybe a slice of cheese was in order. Seemed to unnecessarily collect him, but yeah, it's a bit of a weird season now for the Warriors. They seem to be quite locked into that fourth place. They'll be hoping they can upset one of the top few teams as the season goes on. I think with this squad, and you add Hoy back into the mix, they've got the threat to certainly make the top few teams earn it.
Yeah, we've said a few times, haven't we? They're not going to be involved in the title now, but they might be involved in the title race from just pinching points, because they've still got enough quality to shake those teams.
They definitely do, and they've beaten the teams below them fairly comfortably. And again, they've shown there is a gap between the top four and the bottom four. As the game just slows to a halt. Really going through the motions this one. It's been pretty comfortable. Probably lacked a bit of the fire that you might expect from the derby. Another change is made for Clarence. It looks like Dyson has come on for a run. He's going to play out on the wing. The goalkeeper Matthew Dyson dropped for Randall. And, well, it'll be tough to get back in.
Officially saying it all, Drew.
So it looks like he's going to have to try and reinvent himself as a winger. Interesting.
What on God's green earth? All right. Happy to see Dyson have a bit of a trundle. He's already played a full 90 in goal as well. Very bizarre decision, that one. I guess when you're 5-0 down and putting him on a wing's not really going to hurt things, is it? So, who was it that departed?
Allard's come off, and that's understandable. He's first game back after a lengthy layoff.
Yeah, he'd spent his petrol tickets, Allard. But again,
bizarre.
Just trying to get my head around that one. I would have thought a winger from maybe your seconds team maybe could have. Anyway, maybe Dyson will add something. I know he did start as a field player before donning the gloves, as many do. But I wouldn't have thought he'd be their first choice off the bench. But there we go.
It does speak to perhaps the lack of depth in this Clarence squad, though. We've said that they're probably a little bit shallow. The fact if you're to bring your number 2 goalkeeper on for a run, they'll suggest as much as Stevens will sweep this across. And look, if they can get Bremner back, they can get Malcolm back, Heath will come back into the team. They can certainly have a bit more going forward as the year progresses, but they do appear to be a body or two short, Clarence. It's been their problem this year as Rob's touch is a bit heavy and really wasted a fairly promising attacking position there. And they've been dire in the second half. Let's not sugarcoat it. They've been really poor this half.
They've been absolutely awful, to be honest. And I was really impressed with their first half. Maybe a couple of little glimpses from Bug in this second half, but outside of that, they've been woeful.
They really have, and it's been a story of the year at times. Second half failures against the Zebras, they were 0-0 and fighting hard and fell away there. They've done it a couple of times.
It's disappointing because they really would have been pumped up for this one. They put in a good first half showing and they've just let it fall away. Their defence in particular has really just tapered off in the second stanza, and their midfield, the lack of pressure is startling for me. They're a midfielder short because, for me, I've mentioned it a couple of times, Sam Randall's not a midfielder. I sort of feel for him in there. He's trying to find his way in game situation as Farquhar strolls away with the ball. He's had a tremendous afternoon. This time he picks out Lawler. One back wall by Drake. Gets round one, puts it out in front of Leaman. Just cuts it back and it's run over by Rob, and will be a corner as Olympia look to they play it short from Leaman to Adawi. Gets by Bug, dips into the middle, and it's cut off and sits for Drake. It's a bit of a shocker of a volley, wide and easy for Clarence.
Yeah, they've really missed Heath in the midfield today, and certainly Randall having to play there. It doesn't get much tougher than coming up against Moons and Hickey when you haven't played the position too often, but they certainly would have liked to have Heath in there. So I think the Heath, Naden, Aldridge trio's got some real potential. And then if they can get Bremner up top, Choi handy on the left or Bob on the right, whichever you want to go with. You've got options, but certainly after that 12th, 13th player, do lack a little bit of depth, and a lot of midfielders who kind of been shifted all over the place. Didn't mind Hallard as a target man today. We saw Hedge playing that role earlier in the year, but I preferred him in defence. He's pretty solid down there for the most part from that Glynn goal. Here's Dyson now. What can the keeper do? He just lays it back for Naden. Not a bad option. Get it to this man as he looks to charge forward. I think it's Little, and he drops the shoulder, gets around him and crosses in the direction of Bug, but far too narrow and easily caught by Joffrey, who feeds Farquhar. And now Leaman looks to get forward again. He's not stopped working. He's had a great game today, Jacob Leaman. A couple of goals and an assist, and a secondary assist for him. He turns on the ball here and feeds Glynn. In the end, he leaves it off for Farquhar. And Farquhar gets his head up. He's one-on-one with Hedge. He gets around him and his cross goes behind for a corner. Can they find a sixth goal here? So we have a look at that Naden ball. Didn't really trouble the keeper Geoffrey too much. Had his angles covered as he's had all day. As we said, he hasn't been terribly busy, but he's done what he's had to with a minimum of fuss.
Sits for Thomas as his shot blocked. Wadawu rattles one off and it's wide and out for a Clarence ball. So we're just about to tick in added time, Drewster.
Yep, the 11th round about to come to a close. Of course, next week, a week off for both these teams, and a big one, a big cup final between South Hobart and Devonport. We'll be bringing that one live to you and really looking forward to that one. Obviously, Devonport, big news there. They're not going to have Joel Stone for that contest after he got himself sent off yesterday. That's a huge blow, but the way Devonport are going, there'll be plenty of belief in that squad, and it should be a cracking cup final, really, shouldn't it?
I think they'd be hoping Bo Blizzard maybe gets up. We know he's been battling knee issues, whether he can get up for that and take Stone's place, because he'd be a handy replacement. As Lawler puts it back to Randall, puts him under the pump, sits for Glynn. Glynn in midfield. Lays back for Hickey. He's been industrious. Finds Tommy Little, the substitution. Dishes for Dawi. More or less lets it run through his legs. Little wins back from Stevens, and now with Dawu involved again. He tries a cross. Looking for Leaman, looking to round out that hat-trick. Just misses him. Now for Clarence United ball as we're in out of time. A fair few goals in this half, so there might be a minute or two. So we see this one from Adawa again. His delivery is first rate. Just a little over zealous with that one. But in terms of delivery from the wings, I'm not sure there's too many better in the competition.
I love having him back out there. He really has an impact on the contest. Bug out after that one, but it'll go straight through to the keeper again. It's good to see him out there. It's always good to watch Warren Wadawu go about his business. He's an entertainer. He's got skills. He takes defenders on. He's the type of player you really enjoy watching. And if they can get Hoy back, the attack certainly got some real threat about it as they look to build into this year, the Warriors. It's been a pretty tough start. Their troubles well documented, but they seem to be building into this year all right now. And I think the likes of Farquhar and Altman, youngsters, will be real players of the future. Rowan Gillam's played in goals a bit. There's some positive signs going forward for this Warriors side and plenty to build on as the year develops. They take this free kick rather quickly. Gets it out to Wadawu. Dyson across to deal with him. Thomas just tried to get a bit fancy and plenty of red shirts back, and in the end they just whack it out of play. And nonchalantly, all the sting well out of this contest. Game decided a long ago as Farquhar is shut down by Naden. And that's the final whistle. They've called it after just a couple of minutes. The ref saying that's enough of that. The Warriors triumph here in the Eastern Shore Derby by a score of 5-0. It was 1-0 at the break. It was 0-0 after 40 minutes, and we thought we had a real contest on our hands, but a dominant second half from the Warriors. They were clinical. Clarence came out really poorly. They were really disappointing in that second half, and a very comprehensive result this one, and a deserved result on the balance of play.
Far too good, the Warriors on their home deck. They overcame a fairly plucky Clarence in the first half. In the second half, they were just vastly superior, showing their goal-scoring prowess. Warren Wadawu, Jacob Leaman, and Graham Glynn all getting in on the act, all proving to be very, very threatening. But it was a pretty comfortable performance from the Warriors in the finish. They rounded out 5-0. And go into the break with a full head of steam and a lot of confidence. Clarence United would be really disappointed with this performance. Come in off a couple of really good weeks, bright weeks, up against a bit of rivals, looking to prove a point. Good first half, a shocking second half, and they'll have to lick their wounds and fight another day after the break.
Yeah, very much a tale of two halves, and perhaps no one embodied that more than Graham Glynn. His first 45, he was very ordinary, and we see this is just a class goal. That was his second. He really turned it around in the second half, and he was outstanding in the second 45 minutes, as were his teammates. They put on a real show. There were plenty of holes at the back. They had a lot more time and space on the ball in advanced areas, which they just didn't have in the first half. As the game wore on, they picked them apart. Mearns and Hickey's influence was profound in the midfield, and that laid the foundation for the wingers to have a bit more space to operate in, and that attacking front line just ran right in the second half, really.
It did indeed. A deserved victory for the Warriors. 3 points they bag. Clarence United leave, and they won't be too pleased. The bragging rights for the Eastern Shore go the way of the Warriors, the reigning champions, getting it done 5-0. Join us next week from KG5 on Queen's Birthday Monday from 3 p.m. as we bring you the Lacquer Seljack Cup final between South Hobart and the Devonport Strikers. It's going to be ginormous.
You do not want to miss that one. It will be a cracker. In fact, get to the game. Don't bother watching the stream. Come out and watch it. It should be an absolute cracker of a contest. South Hobart are flying. Devonport are flying. Really primed. You've got the two top teams meeting for what should be a cracking cup final.
Indeed it will be. That's all from us now at Wet and Wild Warrior Park. Olympia, far too good. 5-0 victors.